trout for the longest time. We're very spoiled on bluegill and crappie, which fry up great, and it's just one of kind of the staples during the summertime. And I couldn't figure out why he didn't like them. And he said, well, because we catch them and then we bring them home and then you put them in the freezer and then we'll eat them a month later or whenever. And it was too strong of a fish. But the last time, well, when we stayed down there at Bennett in October, and then we were able to catch and keep and cook them right then, and he had a whole revelation as that they're not a horrible fish to eat. And that was just straight on the grill, but one of my favorite ones. And so you guys will laugh. And if anybody saw the St. Louis paper, yes, that's the other half. Yes, I will automatically claim that I haven't been to a grocery store in probably about 5 or 6 years as to the cooking family. But he wrote it out for me on a piece of paper. And so, because one of my favorite things with seafood in general, so any aquatics, is ceviche. Okay. And that's basically where you marinate it in the lemon and lime. And so it's more on the more raw, but it actually cooks from the citric acid of it. But he wrote it all out in the whole dice your jalapenos, cucumbers, diced mango, honey if you want, plate it up gently. He wrote all this out. So that's my recipe. If anybody wants more, I'll send you the typed out version that he wrote up. And I'm poking fun, but you guys know, logistics is that's the name of the game for us. So it is pretty funny because the minute I started mentioning recipes and when he figured out that we weren't talking about fly recipes, he handily got out the pad of paper, because mine would be smoked on a Weber kettle, but this one works really well. Blue chips or any kind of dipping, and you just dip it and you eat it like big chunks, and it's cooked again in that citrus, so it's doesn't need any heat or anything. And that's it. So who's got another recipe?
I can go next.
Sure.
I like smoked trout, and all what I do is rub it down with brown sugar and put it in my smoker and let it go. That's one recipe. But this second one is blackened trout. I just had that a couple of weeks ago, and it really turned out well. I was surprised. I'm like Amy. I don't like the taste of the wild trout as much unless you tone down the strong flavor. So this one, blackened trout, the ingredients, you take 3 or 4 trout fillets, a half a cup of unsalted butter. You melt that, a tablespoon of you take all the dries, mix them together, then put them in a plate. And the dries is 1 tablespoon of paprika, 2 tablespoons of salt, a half a teaspoon of cayenne pepper. I would recommend if you don't like Cajun, that you maybe go about a 1/4 teaspoon. It was a little bit of too Cajun for my wife. 3/4 teaspoon of white pepper, and 3/4 teaspoon of black pepper, half a teaspoon of thyme, half a teaspoon of oregano, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, and I went with 2 teaspoons of garlic. Like I said, you put all the dries in a dish, in a bowl, and mix them together, then dump them on a plate, melt the butter, and then dip the trout in the melted butter, then dump them on top of the all of your dry, do both sides. Then I put a little oil in a pan, on the stove top and got the oil hot, and then dipped it in or put the trout in, cook it for about 2 to 5 minutes on each side, and you're done. And it really turned out well. Looking forward to my next time I do this. So that's it. And if anybody wants that one, I'd be glad to type it up and send it to you. Or
That's awesome. I like blackened. Do you leave the skin on, Dave, or do you take the skin off on your fillets?
I can scan it and send it, or just take a picture of it and send it.
Sure.
But either way.
That'd be awesome.
Okay.
All right. Well, who else? I see folks looking like they're taking notes feverishly here. Everybody has their heads down kind of on the, it's like, okay, I got to try this one.
Okay, the blackened trout, it just had a slight flavor of trout. You knew you were eating fish, but it didn't have that strong taste.
Perfect. All right. Yeah. And I'll work on collecting. I think that's kind of a fun idea that'll segue into something else, but it'll be fun to kind of collect everybody's ideas on this.
Okay.
I'm going to pick on John Wright. I'm going to pick on John Wright now because he doesn't eat fresh fish. He doesn't eat freshwater fish. Did I say that right, John?
Correct.
Do you eat sushi?
Do I eat what?
Sushi?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, first time I ever had sushi was in Tachikawa, Japan, back 4 years ago than I care to think. I was so long ago. I was a first lieutenant. So, man, that was good eats. I'm here to tell you that, and the Sapporo beer went down just fine.
so you might want to try my ceviche.
Hey, there you go. Yeah. Hey, my recipe is really quite simple. A friend of mine that I used to fish with back in Michigan, we used to go salmon fishing every year, and we caught kings out of Lake Huron, and coho, silvers out of a little lake over near Traverse City. But what we used to do is we would first fillet the salmon, and then skin the salmon, and then cube it, and get a pot of boiling salt water. Throw all the cubes into a pot of boiling salt water and let them cook in there for about 10 or 15, about 2 or 3 minutes. Bring them out, serve them with shrimp sauce, and you'd swear to God you're eating shrimp. Yeah, you know, that way you can eat fish and not know it.
I had to laugh because I when he sent that one earlier today, and I thought, you know what, I'm actually want to try that one. Because I love cold shrimp. We go through so much of that between Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve that it's almost ridiculous.
Yeah.
Love it. And I'm one of those my mother and my grandmother are from Belleville, Illinois, and you know, you put that German side in it, and I don't know what it is about pickled herring. But anyway, so trying to figure out kind of that combination, but I love those mixes. And I thought, you know what, as John had that one, I thought that's going to be on the list. We're going to try that.
Well, my first assignment in the Air Force was at Homestead Air Force Base in Florida, right outside Miami. And we used to, on the weekends, we'd go down and fish in the Keys and pick up, we'd dive for lobster, fish for fish. On the way home, stop at the shrimp docks and pick up fresh shrimp, hit the stands along the highway to pick up all of our lettuce and vegetables, head back to the house and cook the shrimp and the lobster and the fish and salad and vegetables. And man, I tell you, it was a feast fit for a king. And in those days, I don't think any of us paid more than $10 for everything.
I was stationed at Homestead too, and we'd always go into these, and Isle Morado was my favorite.
Mine too.
Even the locals would try to get you to stay away when they would say it was bug season. And so they're like, oh, it's bug season, which their say of it's Caribbean lobster season.
Yeah.
Oh, it's bug season, you don't want to come. And people are like, ooh, okay, the love bugs or something like that. Off. And that
I
was
forgot about them.
yeah, destroy your paint.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a fun assignment.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Of course, flying F4s wasn't bad either.
I was there in the 16 age, so.
Yeah, I was there, let me think. Got there in 69, went to Korea for 6 months until January 70, and then back, and left out of there to went to Vietnam. So
I was
it was a great
91.
assignment.
Yeah, I was only there just under a year, 91, 92.
Uh-huh.
92 of August is when Andrew came through and just wiped
Yeah.
it out. So, and I ended up at Moody up north.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, when I was down there, actually, Homestead was quite a ways from Miami.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Amy, what part of Belleville are you from?
I'm not. My grandmother and my mom grew up, and so all of my mom's family immigrated there, and they were in Belleville, just off of Charles Street, which is right by the railroad tracks.
Oh, okay.
So
First 20 years of my life, I lived off of East B Street, about as far out as you can go on East B Street. Used to watch the Scott Air Force Base planes take off and land.
yeah, I didn't grow up there at all. I remember going, and we went, and it was a weekly thing as far as going over. And then we had property in Waterloo when I was growing up. We had a cabin over there.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I was familiar with it, but typical kid, you're just like, I don't know, you just kind of keep driving, you turn, and yet I can still picture my grandma's house in my head. I had a lot of years being able to spend, even when I was in high school and then came home from college, I would make sure to get over there and just sitting on the front porch, and their neighbors, they had the old house. In fact, I had somebody when I was in my office this week was on a video call, and he said, tell me something about your house. And I said, it's old, but I mean, it has one thing after another kind of as far as needing to do. And I said, but what's so cool to me is I still have the old coal chute down here in the basement. And I said, I remember going to my grandma's house, and that was a big deal that we got to go downstairs into the coal room, and we could dig between the shiplap and the planks and everything, and we could take out a little piece of coal because it wasn't in use anymore. But it was pretty amazing. And it was small town Belleville when my mom grew up there. They all went to high school there. My mom then went over to Deaconess for nursing, and then she met my dad. So then we became, I'm Missouri, born and raised. But yeah, the whole, my mom's side of the family, everybody was from Belleville. Coderhant. How do you like that for a German last name for that's my mom's maiden name. Doesn't get any more German than that. Coderhant. So yeah, it was great. It was amazing. I mean, we spoke German growing up. I don't know much of it anymore. And it's something where I can read it, but I can't remember enough to have a conversation. Ich weiß nicht. I mean, I know nothing about it. And das ist alles. Das ist alles.
Guten Tag, Scheiße.
Yeah. It comes back, and you can pick up different things on it. But it is something we spoke German. And then when my brother and I both took German in high school, and my grandma would listen to it, and she's like, that's not German. My dad was Air Force during the Cold War, and he spent all of his time in Germany and in Florida. But he didn't have the experience a lot of you guys have had, as far as it was there was nothing going on. But he was Air Force there. And so again, kind of hearing the different stories, and I can picture it in my head. And I'm like, okay, I know where that is. And then, but yeah, I have seafood stories for you too, but I'll wait till we get through all the recipes. But we've gone through. Okay, who else has a recipe for us? Carrie, do you have any cooking recipes? Any words of wisdom for us?
No, I usually just
bread them and fry them.
Cornbread or other kind of breading?
Cornbread, yeah.
Hot oil.
Peanut.
What's she, peanut, I think,
Yeah, peanut's the best.
Yeah.
has a higher smoking temperature or something like that.
Yep, so you could go higher temps.
Outstanding. All right, Carl, do you have any recipes for us? Hi, Margie.
Hello.
Well, the only thing I do know, the one recipe that I do like the best is salmon cooked on a cedar plank.
Oh, yeah.
And in fact, we had that yesterday. My wife doesn't usually eat fish, and I don't eat a lot of fish either. I need to eat more, but that's my favorite, and it's just real easy. You put it on there with just a little olive oil. I like putting dill and then some thinly sliced lemons on top of it. Put it on the smoker for about 45 minutes at 450 to 500, and about 45 minutes later it'll reach an internal temperature of 145 degrees, and bam, it's done. It's about as easy peasy as you can get. So
You just have to remember to soak that plank, otherwise you end
It
up.
was good.
I kind of forgot to mention that there. Yeah, but the one
Otherwise-
thing I did notice
You
when
get that Cajun smoke, kind of real black.
well, the one thing I
Oh, I
will
know
say
that.
the one thing I will say about that is that if you soak the planks too long, they only I think they recommend maybe soaking it for maybe like 10 minutes max. If you soak them too long, then they get too saturated and it doesn't get as much of a smoky smell in it. So, because I've done that, I've put them in there like at lunch and go like, yeah, I'll come back at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock and get the grill started and put them on, and it didn't taste the same. And then I've done it where I only had about 10 minutes to get it going, so I just threw it in the water for 10 minutes and it got a lot more smokier some flavor to it. So now Dave's not on from, I don't remember Dave's last name, but he's really a nice gentleman that always makes me lefse for Christmas, and he's a good Norwegian. The one fish that I would recommend that you don't eat is fish from Norway or from Scandinavia called lutefisk. And it's basically cod that's air dried, and then they do something with it within lye. And then when you get it, you stick it in water to rehydrate it. And it has a gelatin type taste. So if it'd be like eating like really bad tasting jellyfish. So
No,
and
no,
it's
no.
seasoned to high heaven. So those are my two recommendations: salmon and then that. Now, I've smoked trout before, like when I was in New Mexico. We used to, back then it was just a lot of catch and take anyway. I used to just put in my small smoker, I used to just put them on there for about 180 degrees, and I don't even remember how long I had them on there. I would just kind of check it probably a couple hours and make sure that it looked like it was cooked, and it'll shrivel up and stuff, but that's really good eating too. So, but I didn't.
I've had decent luck just on a Weber grill and throwing in a brick of any of your smoker meat, wood, and throwing it on the Weber kettle, and at least to give enough smoke to it that it takes away kind of that trouty taste. But
Fish
we just
has an
we just
easy
stumbled
absorption
on
of-
that.
The fun thing about cooking fish is it has an easy absorption of flavor.
Yeah.
So
Has anybody tried smoking with lilac?
No.
You know that the bush that has the purple flowers? We had a whole bunch of lilacs that I cut down, probably about 15 of them, and they've been growing for about 20 years. So and I read an article that said lilac is a really good wood to smoke fish with. So I've been letting it cure in my backyard now for about 2 years, and I think this year I'm going to try smoking some trout in lilac, and we'll see if it comes out smelling and tasting like lilac. I'll let you know. But it's supposed to be a very mild flavor, a lot like apple, which a lot of people recommend for smoking fish. So,
Hey, Amy, I do have one more of my favorite recipes that I like, and it's what I like to do with walleye. If you can get walleye, it's better with fresh walleye. I've tried it with store-bought, but it's never the same. But I basically just take pecans and crush them up in a food processor, just to kind of get it granular, and then just do a pan sear with it. So take the cod out, I dry it off. Take the fish out, dry it off once you get it all prepared on the fillet, and then just put it in a crushed pecan type mix. Some people put cornmeal in, but I tried that and I didn't like that. But then I just pan seared in butter with a little lemon on walleye, and that's my favorite. That is my all-time favorite. So anyway, I'll shut up. That's all I know about.
I've been at a restaurant before, and I'm really always hesitant about ordering a fish at a restaurant. And it's just, again, when you can catch it, when you have it at home, and when you can cook it at home, going out to buy it it's just not one of the things I order. But it is something where probably one of the best. The restaurant's closed now, but I had a pecan encrusted something, and I mean, it was, yeah, if they could have kept bringing me the crust on the outside, I would have been in heaven that day. It was very good. I won the clean plate club on that one. So I like that flavor.
When I used to work out at the Boeing Leadership Center, they had the pistachio covered trout. Woo!
Yep.
That was so good. And macadamian covered. It was so good.
You know who's cooking this weekend, right?
I know, you guys, both of you guys. We're all bringing our fish to your campsite.
All
There
right.
you go.
Keep telling you to move over, and so that we have room on your grill.
you know, Amy,
Bring a bigger grill.
Amy, talking about eating fish in restaurants, and Charles, you'll appreciate this. We have a restaurant here in town called Joe Tess, and they prepare carp. And never be said that John doesn't try something at least once. But I went to Joe Tess one day and tried carp. I was sick for a week, and I never went back. And I said I would never eat carp again until I was at Game and Park here holds what they call a carporama every year. And I was at the carporama working with some kids and tried they had some carp that they were deep frying and pickling and doing all kinds of different ways. And I'm here to tell you, it was absolutely amazing. I never thought I would like carp. I was wrong.
So I can appreciate that story. And the funny thing is so I have a thing against catfish. If Steve can tell you the rest of that story, but we had access, we had a lot of lake, and he caught a great big huge catfish. And I guess while he was holding it, and anyway, he handed it to me, went to reach for the camera, and I'm holding this thing, and I was like, ugh, and threw it back in the water. I didn't realize he wanted to get a picture of this monster. So first lesson on that. But
Hey,
I've
John.
always said that. I chucked it back in the water, and he turned back around like, what? That was because it was like, it was a really, really good catfish. But I don't, in my mind, I don't care for catfish. And then I've been tested. And if you ever in this family say that you don't like something, you will eat it for the next month to try to figure out if you actually do. So if you say you don't like fruit on your salad, guess what you're eating for the next month? I joke on some of that, but you guys can appreciate. So we had this all when my daughter was growing up, because neither one of us, her or I, care for polenta. Don't ever serve it to me. I don't care how many 37 different ways you want to serve polenta, but no. So anyway, catfish, but I was convinced. I actually had catfish, and I think it was supposed to be kind of a joke that I didn't know what I was eating, and I actually liked it. But I'm that way too. I mean, if I hear certain words and I'm kind of like, no, maybe not. But there's some that now if I had it in my recipe of my chaviche, this would be, yeah, I would probably never even know it was catfish. But I can appreciate that. John, I would never want to try carp at a restaurant. I'm just
Hey,
telling
John.
you.
Yeah.
Margie looks like she's going to be sick. I'm just going to make that comment in the back. She's kind of got that like,
Both of you. My wife was with this painting group, and every year two of them's husbands fished and caught catfish, and would have a big fish fry. And one of the events, the older gentleman told my wife, he says that, you can go at the dam and catch a lot of big carp, and says the way you want to do that is fillet them, flip them skin side down on a piece of cardboard, put lots of salt and pepper and lemon juice and butter on it, on the grill for about 45 minutes. When you're done, you throw the carp away and eat the cardboard.
Cardboard. Yeah.
that has to be okay. That wins. That's about the best recipe so far. Oh gosh. All right. Well, we got way sidetracked on that. Who picked this topic? Who picked this topic this week? All right. Roger. You guys eat healthy all the time?
And we usually keep it pretty simple, particularly if we're out camping, to minimize the cleanup mess. We usually keep the fish whole, just lay down some tin foil on the barbecue grill. And sometimes we may oil and put a little cornmeal on the outside, but usually we just open them up and stuff the inside with whatever herbs are kind of tickling our fancy that day, maybe a slice or two of a lemon, and then you can just barbecue that in the grill that way, and with lid closed, and doesn't take too long. And pull the fish out, wrap up the tin foil, just throw it away so your grill's clean, and then you just kind of, I don't know how many people have cooked the fish whole. You just kind of lift that trout up by the tail and start with your fork right at the tail, and it'll just pull right down off the bones. If you remember to pull the pectoral and other little fins out first, so they're not still stuck on it. And then you're left with two nice fillets. I'll usually leave the skin in the plate though.
Yeah.
So
That's
that's
awesome.
an easy way to
Yep.
do it. And you can vary the spices and stuff to whatever suits your palate, but it's a real quick and easy, and the cleanup's real simple too.
I agree with that one. And I think that's the other thing too, is trying to figure out how to eat, because I don't fillet the trout. I think it's something where you just have the open cavity. And I thought it was funny. I invited Lois, and if you guys don't know, she's our IT support. She's a contractor in Colorado Springs, and she's in New Orleans right now. But I invited her for this call, and she said, well, I don't really have a recipe, but I like it smoked. And then she puts Hawaiian salt on it or something. And she said, but the best recipe is putting bacon in the cavity. But it's, you cut along the line and you pull it away from, and so it clears the bones. Then you lift, and then you completely lift out the entire skeleton, and then you have a whole nother fillet. But cooking on the grill, like Roger said, is about the easiest. You're not having to fillet, you're not having, because trout, honestly, you don't get a lot of meat. I mean, it's kind of, it falls into, obviously the big monster trouts you do, but it falls into bluegill and crappie. And I mean, for a dinner for anybody, you need a lot of crappie and you need a lot of bluegill if you're trying to fillet them out. But I do find trout, I love it that way. And I just, because you can pull it all out, and then you've got one bone pile, and then you're eating it just kind of clean. You don't have to navigate around or figure out where your pin bones are and all that. But that's the best, and it cooks so fast. That's the amazing part on the grill. I
Yeah,
mean, you're done and ready to eat in 20 minutes.
Mhm.
yeah. Sometimes you need to kind of roll it over part way through, but it cooks up quick. And like I say, if you do it on top of tin foil, raise the edges just a little bit so the juices don't run off the edges. And it's pull the trout out onto a plate and pick the tin foil and juice up out of there. You
Mhm.
almost ball it up, throw it in the trash, and you're done with cleanup.
Excellent.
If you ever gone to Rockbridge and ate in their restaurant, had their trout, I got a couple of sheets of their recipes. I'll include that with my recipes that I send to you, Amy. There's about maybe 6 or 8 recipes that people might want to try.
Outstanding. Thank you, Dave. All right, who else? Oh, I see Charles in there. Charles, do you cook and eat your trout or
Yes,
any
I
fish?
do.
All right, tell us the recipe.
Lowry seasoning salt, lemon pepper, fresh garlic, butter, olive oil, and just put it in flour and put it in the pan,
An oven or stovetop?
stovetop with a lid.
All right. And turn on all your exhaust vents, right? And open the windows.
Yes, we do that.
Outstanding. All right, who else has got a recipe for us? I saw Chris. People are hiding on me. Oh, is Les still on? He is still on here. Come on, smoker Les.
I don't have any recipes. I just like to eat it.
The only time I ever cook trout is when we do overnighters on the Current River. If we catch some trout, I just bring some tin foil, lemon, dill, salt and pepper, throw it in a foil pack, put it in the fire. You know, it doesn't get any simpler than that.
No.
I like that style, Jim.
Yeah. I mean,
Do you guys, when you go up and do boundary waters, do you guys catch and keep and eat that for any of your dinners?
yeah, so with bass, it's a little bit different. You know, I mean, for years we've been doing just you know, some kind of a coating and fry it up. But the past few years we've been experimenting with baking the bass, and last year, or maybe the year before, I came up with a fish piccata recipe. And I don't think I'd ever do trout that way. Somehow that just doesn't sound right for trout. But for bass and bluegill, that's become our go-to recipe for bass and bluegill. As a matter of fact, I guess it was last weekend I brought some crappie and bluegill home, and we did a piccata. And it's a really simple recipe. You just dredge the fish in a little bit of flour and salt and pepper. You fry it in olive oil, and then you pull the fish out, and you throw some wine in the pan, some white wine, probably like a Sauvignon Blanc, something that like a Chardonnay is a little too flavorful, but Sauvignon Blanc is pretty good. And you put that in, and I don't remember what the process is called, but you stir up the what's in there. You throw in some capers, you throw in some lemon juice, and you know, that becomes your sauce, and you pour that over the fish. I didn't think to actually bring the recipe because we're talking about trout, but just Google fish piccata, and it's just such a simple recipe, and it is so good. But again, like I said, I wouldn't do that with the trout, but for, you know, bass and bluegill and crappie and stuff like that, oh yeah, it's very good.
I remember one of your trips when you came back from the Boundary Waters, and I think you had to pick up rods or something, and we connected on that, and you started telling me about that recipe. You were more excited about the recipe of finding something. It was just, it was a great, and I love piccata, and I think just the mix of that lemon, and it's light enough, and that wine gives it enough of a tart. That's a great recipe.
It's a good excuse for bringing along a bottle of wine, right?
There you go.
Always,
Yeah.
as if we needed excuses, right? Sorry, scissors down. All right. Let's see. So last I see you lurking in the shadows. Any smoker recipes for us? See at baseball practice?
Not for trout.
Okay, well, give us any kind of smoker recipes.
Fresh sockeye salmon with a birch maple syrup, some garlic, lemon. It's not as sweet as maple syrup, but still gives you a little bit of a glaze on it. And then cashew crusted halibut.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. You just got all of our attention on that one.
Yeah.
Trout schmout.
Trout, you just fry it up in a pan and have some fish tacos.
Oh, that's fun. Well, I think we have some great recipes. Did I get everybody on here? Mike Swanner, I see you. You talked about it a little bit with your catfish story with the cardboard, but that's not really a recipe.
It's just good cardboard.
I'm
His
muted.
secret
Okay.
ingredient is what the best kind of cardboard is, and he in the
I
back.
know. Packing cardboard, is it?
Hey, we don't eat trout, or very seldom. The only time I've ever done anything with it was pretty much what a couple of the other guys have talked about is fillets, salt, pepper, lemon, squeeze a lemon on it, wrap it up in tin foil, aluminum foil, and throw it on the grill.
Yep. And if in doubt, that's the way to go, isn't it?
Yep.
Well,
All
we've tried
right.
something not with trout, but with some salmon and cod fillets and stuff. They're real quick and easy at home. We liked it. It's just kind of mixed 50-50, like some mayonnaise and mustard, if you're liking. Rub that over the fillet to help keep it moist and sprinkle it with a whole bunch of dill. And, you know, it's in the oven in no time. Stays nice and tender because of the mayonnaise and stuff. And if you like mustard and dill flavor, comes out pretty easy.
Ooh. I think that would work pretty well, wouldn't it?
Now that sounds like something I might want to try.
I would. I love mustard and dill.
Me too.
Yeah, so you can pick your favorite variety of mustard or whatever that suits your palate and whatever. Like I say, it's real quick and easy. If you like just get the frozen salmon patties or cod or whatever else and have dinner on the table in no time.
You're like a Sandra Lee with your little shortcuts there.
I'm lazy.
She's one of those. I don't know. I remember getting a cookbook for Christmas because again, I don't have to cook. But it is something where I got that because I use as many shortcuts as you can find. I actually do know how to cook. And my claim to fame is chicken stuffed crepes. So I do know how to cook, but I don't have to. So that's kind of, but I'm going to have a whole list of stuff to take upstairs to Steve. And we're having steak fajitas tonight. So, but I do think it's funny because, yeah, it's all of a sudden it's like, oh, and the stomach's growling. And John, I have a lilac bush in my yard that's about 40 years old. it's not coming down, so you don't get any wood from here. But so in case you run out of your wood, you heard nothing here. But I actually I went and I pulled off a couple because it's just now starting to open on all my buds.
Well, we wouldn't cut them down except if they got all infected with disease, so they had to come down. What happened is we planted them between two houses to kind of be a boundary. Then we bought the house next door, so now we didn't need the boundary anymore. And we had a huge, great big tree in the front yard of the new house, and it was shading all of the lilacs, so they got a rot on them. And it took me 2 years to cut them all down.
Wow.
Yeah.
If anybody needs any, let's see, maple, tulip, cedar, they can come get it out of my yard. I'm ready for, I've got 2 trees that I have one that the squirrel's living in now that's actually hollowed out more than 40 feet up. And so that one's that's going to be coming down this year. But yeah, no, I might have some extra wood for you, but no lilacs for you this year. All right. Well, those are some great recipes. Anybody have anything else that we didn't cover in the way of food or prep or fish?
We'll throw out an idea that I will try. We're getting to Bennett Wednesday night, so I'll have Thursday, Friday to try practice. But I was thinking of like a Cajun rice with trout. So basically what I want to try is the way we cook it is just after we, gut the trout, we just kind of put a couple slices on the side, use the Lowry salt as well. We'll try to use blackened as well, and try a couple different ways of spicing it on a couple different trout. Cook up the Cajun rice and then just grill. We just like throwing the fish right on the grill until the skin is charred on each side. And then, like you said, you see Roger was saying where you just take, your fork and you could just flake the fish right off. You could put that in a bowl, and then we will try it with, the different spices with the Cajun rice, and hopefully we'll have something to share come Saturday.
Where are you going to get the trout?
Ben? Yeah, we'll see you there.
Well, he's going into the.
Yep, I'm in the park, so I got lucky. So we are in spot 115. We'll get there Wednesday night and won't leave until Sunday.
I should be down about 3 o'clock Friday afternoon. So
okay, so get some fishing in, and then after the whistle blows, I guess spot 115 is a good rally point.
Works for me.
Yep, and we're gonna do. I talked to Ben today at Bennett, and so this is not an official. Everybody's welcome to come if they want to. This is absolutely not an official Project Healing Waters event. We will be moving into phase 3 very, very quickly. In fact, there's an announcement that will be coming out Thursday of this week in that, and we're going into it immediately, which means groups of 10. So I did put some folks on kind of a test group for that with Bennett. I know John Wright was on there. Mike Swanson was on there, and they are obviously coming in from out of state. And so of course we won't count them in their attendance because that wouldn't be within the protocol, but it is the Vets Fish Free. Yeah. So we saw nothing, but it is going to be Vets Fish Free at Bennett Spring this Saturday. And so on Friday, starting at 3 p.m., we will be handing out tags to any veteran who wants to pick up their tag for Saturday. And then on Saturday, we're going to have the big 30 by 60 tents going to be set up, several tables and things too. Tom Kale is going to be down there, who's also one of our volunteers from St. Louis, but has a house down there. So he'll be down there as well. He asked if he could help do anything, and I said, sure, bring your vise and come tie. He's an excellent tire. But we'll kind of work it. Since you guys aren't coming down as volunteers or participants, I technically can't ask anybody, but I'll just have a board to sign up. And if you want to be in that area, we also as you guys know, this was a lot of work. This was basically a full year to get MDC to agree to have us do these vet fish free. And then after doing this for the past 3 years, it was a real heartache to give it up and to ask any other non-for-profit to come in our shoes on this. Louis Wittenberg, who is also one of our volunteers with Project Healing Waters, he's on the board at TU. So I joint offered, and TU is going to bring down between 6 and 8 folks for Saturday. And that could be anything from entomology, help on the water, that can be tying flies, that can be casting. Folks, this is what you feel comfortable with. If you just want to get down there and go fish, go fish. You know, handing out the tags, that's a 1 or 2 person. All we got to do is be nice and hand out tags. We're not asking for any identification or anything. It is something that if you want to take a break and come and tie, you know, again, sign up for your time slot, just be up under the tent. I'm going to bring a couple vices. And right now I'm undecided on what I'm going to take. And again, Tom will help cover us on some of that, and the TU guys too. But I'm just, wow, what a long 394 days. And you think I haven't been counting?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
394 days. So I'm happy with everybody who can be there. And again, it's nothing formal. Friday night, and we've got folks who are staying over at Sand Spring. Like Roger said, he's up at KOA, making Margie or at 115 in the campsite. I'm up the hill at Larry's. We'll all kind of gather. We'll see each other. You are welcome to wear Project Healing Waters apparel while you're down there. I am not handing out any brochures. I'll have my business cards on me. But other than that, you don't need to bring anything with you other than your own personal stuff. Looking forward to it. It's one of those that you just kind of go, finally. The weather looks like crap. I will just give you that. If you haven't pulled up, it looks like it's going to rain on Friday and on Saturday. But it's only a 40% chance. So I'm going to go with the other 60. It might not rain. Fishing in the rain is actually extremely beneficial at Bennett sometimes. So anyway,
You're already wet, so it shouldn't be an issue, right?
you know, that's what gear's for, you know, just wear your rain gear. But look forward to seeing everybody. If you have any questions or anything, you know, please feel free, call or email me at any time. And again, thanks for everybody for what you guys are doing. It's going to be a great weekend.
I'll be there in spirit. How's that?
I will take that, Charles, and we're going to get you here one of these days.
Come here.
I'm trying to remember to bring those service ribbon pins. I know, John, you were interested in them. If you're wanting to see those, hopefully I'll remember to bring them and you'll get a chance to see.
Oh, that would be awesome, Roger.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, not even to give them away. If you've just got the display case, if you can remember to pack that.
Okay.
Yeah. Amy, I'll tie up some Tenkara flies while I'm down there for people.
Oh, yeah.
I got the spot. John, you and I are going to fish Sunday afternoon. I'm done about 3 o'clock. You and I are going to fish because I'm going to show you the Tenkara spot down there, and you're going to be one after another.
Okay.
Right under the apron.
There you go.
You just sit there, you go right through their feeding zone, and you're going to nail one right after the other. And then we're going to take all of our fish back and we're going to cook them all at Mick and Margie's place.
There you go.
Yep.
Bring your spices, your grills. No, we have a big grill.
Yeah, we have a grill.
We have a grill, but your spices and your fish. I've got tons of plates.
We have paper plates. We have everything. We're not doing coffee. I told Ben today, I said, we're not even smuggling in any food. We aren't doing anything out for public. So everybody's kind of on your own. Of course, we always have thermoses in the morning, and Steve and I will be down at the tent to hand out tags on Saturday morning by 6 a.m. And so, you know, but again, we're not doing the big coffee pot. We're not doing danishes. There's no food under the tent. In fact, that's a state park wide from that meeting for March 19th with the state. None of the events. So even if you hear something as far as Merrimack, I think they're June 5th. We're going to hit Ben up and Jim Rogers to come back in the fall and do that in the fall instead. But we're not doing any handout food like we've done chili and we've done the fish fry in the past and all the others. Nobody's doing it. Nobody wants to open that gate So there's a lot of places to eat just around. The restaurant is open at Bennett. And if nothing else, again, you campers, you guys know what to do. But for the other folks, there's the Hollow. What's that one called across the road, Mick? The up at Sand Spring?
Oh, the Sandbar.
Yeah, and that's
Is a
they
good
have
burger.
good burgers. Yeah, they
Good
have good
burgers.
burgers and food right there. So again, it's kind of BYO everything. And I'll be fishing Friday morning, and I'll fish until about 2:45. And then I'll go stand at the tent at 3 and probably in my waders. And then I'll be fishing again on Saturday, probably at least by 3, if not a little bit before. And then I'm staying Sunday through about 3 o'clock.
Amy, where are you going to be when you're handing out the tickets? Are you going to be at
Right in
like we
front of
did
the-
last time?
Yep, right in front of the store.
Okay.
So
I'll meet
yep,
you there.
we're just taking a big white tent. We're not doing we're not taking our big banner tent or the big display to one. We're just taking a big tent. And then we've got one table that we're taking for
Okay.
that area. Then over on the other part where we did our meeting and that on the water safety
Yeah.
training, over there, Ben's setting up that big 30 by 60.
Okay.
And so if you want to drop gear over there, I'm not doing any of the big handouts like we have in the past of the flies and the books and everything. It'll just be if people want to gather under there. And then, as far as pretty much for our Project Healing Waters, and we'll probably take some pictures. And so mask is required on our outings. But other than that, you're just down there as any individual. And so do what you're comfortable with on that. But looking forward to it, folks. And all right, so what's our topic for next Monday? We need a fly. We need a subject. Because as much as I love talking about recipe, it's kind of a challenge for somebody who doesn't really cook.
A bluing olive. I'll tie a bluing olive if you want.
Blue wing olive. All right. Okay, so we've got we're on a blue wing olive, which is perfect, and we've got mayflies coming in right now, and then also everybody's heard about the cicada that we're going to run into this summer. So we might want to look at the next couple weeks if somebody's had a really great cicada pattern. Here's my attempt at it.
Oh, that's
It's a big old monster. I will be fishing. I will be fishing dry flies this weekend, just in case you guys didn't notice.
I've heard they've been doing good.
They've been doing great. And so I was working on a couple. I don't have my other camera up here. So this is my big simulator one.
What size should I bring, Amy? What size flies?
What are you fishing? What style? What are you going with?
All wet. Soft tackle wet flies.
12 or lower.
Okay.
I mean, I would go 14, 16s pretty consistently.
Yep.
Black, green, or olive. You can go white. I mean, there's a ton of different. So I'm going dropper hopper, and
Okay.
this is. Can you guys see that one?
Yeah.
I can't even see
Yeah.
cameras in.
Yeah.
So that's my stimulator on the top, and then I was trying with some different foam ones. This was extremely productive for me, and we were down there last weekend. So there you go. So I have 3 different styles on that. Here's my big cicada bomb.
Wow. Hey, did you know that an Adams fly is really a stimulator?
It seems to be, because it sure looks like it in my fly box. Yeah. I mean, it's. I think anything that just gives that profile. Again, when you're just looking for that specific wing flare, and that's typically the wing flare on there, specific on the tail. This one, well, here's one that I laid in foam underneath, and this is what I had the best success with last 2 weeks ago when we were down there. And so I laid in foam on this, and just made it on a traditional stimulator. But I was ready to, I owe our computer lady, Lois, some few flies, and she held up one during one of our video things. And she said, do you know how to tie these? And go, yeah, that's a game changer. So I have a whole family of game changers going to her, and I've done tying game changers for a while because I've done, I think I have 5 or 6 to send her. I'm getting a sweatshirt and some stickers out of it, plus my computer help. So I thought that was pretty good, fair trade. But they are just not really, they're boring flies to tie. So, all right, all, well, have a great, and anybody who's traveling this week to Bennett, be safe, and you've got my cell number. So if you have anything that comes up, or for some reason change of plans, you know, just call or text anytime. And we will resume next week with Carl on the spotlight.
Have a great weekend.
Bye, Al.
Thank
Have
you.
fun.
Bye,
See
everybody.
y'all.
Hey, guys. Bye.
Hey.
See you guys.
Thanks, Carl.